We have depended upon fish as a major food source. None was more utilized by the Nez Perce than the Chinook salmon. Our stories, legends, and ceremonies regarding the fish and rivers reflects our bond with the salmon.
And we as Indian people, we looked at these elements, these provisions with high respect, because they figured out when the times when the fish came, they would be ready for them. And they tell stories about people going up to the rivers below Salway Falls and waiting for the salmon to come. Just camp there waiting. And they post a guy out there around the clock. They'd have different guys go out there and wait for them. So the fish used to come so strong they could hear them coming. It was just like you see these jet boats when you have these jet boat races, how they splash the water. Well, that's the way the salmon used to do. It's like almost like rain, they said. And they come up, you could see them coming, and the guys used to say you could just almost walk across their backs the way they were. And they run down there and pull out what they wanted, and that was all.
Tribal members have been affected by the Hanford area simply because of the fisheries and the contaminations released into the Columbia River as a result of the Hanford Nuclear Plant. That's directly affected the fisheries, I think. And it's I don't know how much contamination is still in the soils and things around the river, but I think that is direct impact on the tribal people because we consume an awful amount of fish.
Our elders remind us that the fates of humans and salmon are linked.
Anytime you put something along the river, even if you bury it along the river, it's going to get to the water somehow. And I think that's probably one of the things that has a lot to do with our salmon. Myself, just my own thought. And then I'm afraid that a lot of us that eat these kind of foods are like I say right now, we get a lot of cancer in our own people and other things. But then the fish have to come right by there, and that stuff washes down the river. But that's just my own idea. I don't know if anybody else ever thinks that way, but I kind of feel like some of this stuff is having a kickback on our even though we survived the war, but then slowly we're dying off or paying for it.
And Hanford is tied with that water, because that's how they operate with that water, flushing out their reactors at that time to cool their rods. And so naturally, something that affects the water, it affects the fish, it affects Salilo, it affects our fishing rights, stuff like this. So it all goes together.
Recent fish harvests have raised concerns among our people.
I don't know how it affected the fish itself, but I do know that it had an effect on each run.
Hard for it to run out all at once. I think it takes time. It comes slowly, but it's still coming, and it takes a long time for it to be clean. I don't think it can be cleaned up just like that. They'd have to flush clean water continually, but they don't do that. But it just runs into our streams and then into the river. That's what causes the fish to die. I think fish to be kind of poor and also, spotted. It wasn't the same healthy fish we used to have, before that.
We had fish about maybe 3 years ago that they're deformed, and one of the fish was enclosed in a jelly, and I gave this to Intertribal Fish Commission. They came and I took a picture of it, In fact, I have a picture of it myself. And then also the sturgeon, the little tiny little sturgeons were deformed, you know, with like knots on the back. They have their tail, but it was deformed, and so we've had numerous fish and sturgeon, catfish that were deformed, and we've taken pictures of them. So, you know, we know that what they're doing to the water. You know what the reason is. You know, that's, you know, I don't know that, except that we've never received fish like that before.
Many of the fisheries, for example, fishery stocks, are destined for the Snake River or the Clearwater River drainages, and over the years, probably what we've seen is the continual decline in the fishery runs, and it's important for, I think, our tribal membership to have the opportunity to harvest their own fish in our own tributaries within our Nez Perce Tribe treaty area, even though we have usual and custom fishing areas off the reservation. But there are many ways that we can be impacted.
In addition to the impacts on our cultural and natural resources, the production of the atomic bomb has silently affected those of our people who fought in the Cold War era.
We landed in Nagasaki. That's where one of them was dropped. But they never give us any kind of warning. They never give us any kind of restrictions about walking around in there. No protective gear or anything. So we've seen the destruction it did. But I got it right around all my exposed areas, my neck, my hands, my face.
From that time in Nagasaki?
Yeah. I don't have any history from any of my family for being like this that I know of. Anywhere. And I hope none of my children ever become this way.
After over a decade of building expertise, the Nez Perce Tribe stands ready to enter the arena of nuclear waste cleanup.
If you look at a lot of the environmental conflicts that are going on in the world, the Aboriginal people, the native peoples, are not responsible for those activities, but now we share in a responsibility to undo or to correct the damage which has been done to the landscape. And I feel that the tribe being involved with Hanford, we bring a very unique relationship. We provide, some of the top-notch scientists and engineers. We also have a passion which comes to restoring the landscape, but we also bring, I think, an insight to a community, which I would hope would be kind of the values that any community would want to embrace when it comes to being cohesive, when it comes to protecting a relationship with the land. And I think we can offer that sense of community, the insight into our dependency on nature, and hopefully to help the other communities band together to overcome those lingering, haunting questions when it comes to how do we deal with the nuclear waste upon the landscape. I think when we went into it, we were actually quite naive. We felt that science was fail-safe, but we were vain in that feeling, and we recognized that science, in fact, did not hold all the answers, and we're some students of some hard-learned lessons. So, while we may throw out the best science out there, the best technology, that's not going to provide the answer, but I think the real answer relies in the spirit of the community to continue to embrace the challenge that come our way.
Over the course of thousands of years, nature has taught us how to live with her. This intimate and sacred relationship unifies us, stabilizes us, humbles us. It is what makes us a distinct people and what gives us our identity. We cannot be separate from the land or our rights without losing what makes us Nez Perce. We defend our rights to preserve who we are and what we hold sacred. The duty to protect the earth, our mother, and restore her when we can is at the heart of everything we believe.
Reading it in a book when I was just a young boy. It was the words of Tuhulhultut. And basically what it said was, I belong to the land out of which I came. This earth is my mother. And I've been reminded of that ever since. And as you can see, it's not a statement to be taken lightly. It's not something that we can just comprehend like that. We've got to take care of this place, or it won't take care of us.